Right now, as you're watching this video, there's an entire world existing parallel to ours. A world where the dead are experiencing things that would absolutely terrify you. The Prophet Muhammad himself was given a shocking glimpse into this hidden realm, and what he saw will change how you think about death forever. This isn't just some distant future after Judgment Day. This is happening right now, in graves all around us. The Quran tells us about two oceans that meet but never mix, separated by an invisible barrier. That same word is used to describe the barrier between our world and the afterlife. It's called Barzakh, the intermediate realm where souls go immediately after death. Think about when you're dreaming. Your body is lying in bed, but your soul is somewhere completely different, experiencing things that feel absolutely real. You don't need oxygen underwater in your dreams. You can talk, move, and feel everything intensely. The afterlife works similarly, except there's no waking up. When someone dies, their soul enters this parallel dimension that exists right alongside our world. We can't see it, hear it, or understand it, but it's as real as the room you're sitting in right now. The dead can't communicate with us, and we can't reach them. It's a one-way barrier that won't be lifted until the day of judgment. But here's what's absolutely mind-blowing. The Prophet was taken on a journey through this hidden world, and what he witnessed will shock you to your core. The moment you die, three things follow you to the grave. Your family comes, your wealth comes, and your deeds come. But here's the terrifying part. Your family eventually forgets about you and moves on with their lives. Your wealth, it either gets inherited or buried with you, but it can't help you where you're going. The only thing that stays with you forever are your deeds, every single action you took in this life, good or bad. There's a story about an old woman who loved her classic car so much that she had herself buried inside it. She thought she was taking her wealth with her, but even buried 6 feet under, her body decayed while the car remained. Someone eventually dug it up and took it. Nothing from this world can save you from what's coming next. Your deeds become your only companions in that dark, lonely place. They determine whether your grave becomes a garden from paradise or a pit from hell. And the Prophet warned us that the grave is just the beginning. If you can't handle what happens there, what comes after will be infinitely worse. The Prophet used to ask his companions every morning if anyone had seen a dream, because dreams are the only remaining part of prophethood. One morning, he had a dream so vivid and terrifying that it changed how he prayed for the rest of his life. Angels came to him in this dream and took him on a journey through the Barzakh, the world of the dead. What he saw there will haunt you. The first thing he witnessed was a man lying on the ground while another man stood over him with a massive stone. The standing man would crush the lying man's skull completely, then walk away to retrieve the stone. By the time he returned, the skull had completely healed. Then he would crush it again, and again, and again. This torture continued endlessly, with no relief, no breaks, no mercy. The Prophet asked who this man was. The angels told him to keep moving without asking questions. But later, they revealed the truth. This was a man who used to deliberately sleep through his prayers. His head was too heavy to lift for his spiritual duties, so now his head was being crushed repeatedly until Judgment Day. Think about that for a moment. Missing prayers seemed like such a small thing in life. But in the afterlife, it becomes an endless, agonizing punishment. But that wasn't the worst thing the Prophet saw that night. Next, he came across a man sitting peacefully until another man approached from behind with a brass hook. The man with the hook would insert it into the sitting man's mouth and rip his face apart, tearing from his mouth to his ear. Then he would move to the other side of the face and do the same thing. By the time he finished the second side, the first side had completely healed. Then the torture would begin again. The Prophet was horrified. Who was this person? What had he done to deserve such a fate? The angels revealed that this was someone who used to spread lies and rumors about people. He would leave his house and spread gossip, destroy reputations, and carry stories without verifying if they were true. His mouth had been a weapon of destruction in life, so now it was being destroyed repeatedly in death. Every lie he told, every reputation he ruined, every piece of gossip he spread, it all led to this moment of eternal torture. The man probably thought his words were harmless. He was wrong. But the Prophet's journey into this hidden world was far from over. The next scene was even more disturbing. The prophet saw a man swimming in what appeared to be a lake of blood. Every time the swimmer approached the shore, another man would force stones into his mouth, making him swallow them. The swimmer would carry these stones across the lake, spit them out, then swim back for more. This continued endlessly, with no rest, no relief. This was the punishment for someone who consumed interest and usury. In life, he had built wealth by exploiting others' desperation. Now he was drowning in the blood of his victims, choking on stones that represented his ill-gotten gains. The prophet then witnessed something that would give anyone nightmares. He saw a massive underground oven stretching as far as the eye could see. Inside were countless naked men and women, hanging helplessly as fire burned them from below. They would scream in agony as the flames consumed them, then the fire would die down momentarily before roaring back to life. This cycle of burning and brief relief continued forever. These were the adulterers and fornicators, people who had corrupted themselves and others through forbidden relationships. Their moment of pleasure in life had become an eternity of fire and death. The prophet also saw people whose faces were half beautiful and half grotesquely ugly. They would bathe in a river, and their ugly side would become beautiful temporarily. These were people whose good deeds were equal to their bad deeds. They were being purified through suffering before eventually being allowed into paradise. But then the prophet saw something beautiful in this world of horror. He encountered a man so tall that looking up barely revealed his face. He had a brilliant white beard and was surrounded by countless children in a gorgeous garden. This was Prophet Ibrahim, and the children were all the young ones who had died before reaching the age of accountability. They were safe in paradise, innocent and pure. The final figure the prophet saw was the most terrifying of all. A man with a face so hideous and frightening that the prophet could barely look at him. This figure never smiled, never showed any emotion except stern authority. This was Malik, the guardian of hellfire. He hadn't smiled once since the day hell was created, and he would be the one ensuring that the wicked received their eternal punishment. Here's something that will absolutely blow your mind. The dead can actually visit each other in their graves. The prophet told us to make the burial shrouds beautiful and fragrant because the deceased will be meeting others in the afterlife. They need to look presentable for their new neighbors. But here's the scary part. Your neighboring graves can actually harm you. If you're buried next to someone being punished, their torment can affect your own experience. The prophet advised choosing burial sites near righteous people when possible. Just like in life, your neighbors matter even in death. The prophet's wife Aisha once met two elderly Jewish women who told her that people are punished in their graves. At first, she didn't believe them. But when she asked the prophet about it, he confirmed it was true. He said that when people are being punished in their graves, the animals can hear their screams even though humans and jinn cannot. From that day forward, Aisha never saw the prophet pray without asking Allah for protection from the punishment of the grave. This became his constant dua, showing just how terrified he was of what he had witnessed. There's a famous story about the prophet passing by two graves with his companions. Suddenly, he broke branches from a nearby plant and placed them on the graves. When asked why, he explained that the people in those graves were being punished for things that seemed minor to us but were major sins to Allah. The first person was being punished for spreading rumors and gossip about others. The second was being punished for not maintaining cleanliness after using the bathroom and not properly purifying himself for prayer. These seemed like small matters, but they had led to severe punishment in the afterlife. The prophet placed the branches on their graves, hoping that Allah would lessen their punishment for as long as the branches remained fresh. Even in death, there was a possibility for mercy. But here's the most chilling story of all. The prophet was once riding his mule when the animal suddenly stopped and began acting as if it wanted to throw him off, like a horse that had seen a snake. The prophet looked around and saw several graves nearby. He asked his companions who was buried there, and they told him these were people who had died before Islam arrived. The prophet then said something that would terrify anyone. They are being punished in their graves right now. If I weren't afraid that you would stop burying your dead, I would ask Allah to let you hear what I'm hearing. The prophet could actually hear the screams and torment of the dead, but he knew that if his companions heard it too, they would be too frightened to ever bury anyone again. The sounds of punishment were so horrifying that they would traumatize the living. After this experience, the prophet made his companions repeat several prayers seeking protection from the punishment of hell, the punishment of the grave, and the greatest trials of life and death. He knew that what awaited in the afterlife was far worse than anything they could imagine in this world. Right now, as you're watching this video, there are souls in the Barzac visiting each other and asking about their living relatives. When a fresh soul arrives from this world, the other souls rush to it like people welcoming a traveler from overseas. They desperately want to know about their family members who are still alive. How is my son doing? Is he still praying? Has my daughter gone astray? Is my husband still righteous? These are the questions that consume the dead. They can't contact you, but they're deeply concerned about your spiritual condition. If the fresh soul brings good news about their loved ones, the dead souls become joyful because they know their family will join them in paradise. But if they hear that their relatives have gone astray, they become devastated because they realize their family members are heading toward punishment instead of reunion. The most heartbreaking scenario is when they ask about a specific relative and the fresh soul says, "He beat me there." This means the relative died first but didn't come to the good section of the afterlife. The dead souls realize their loved one is being punished in the bad section, and they have no way to help. But here's where hope enters this terrifying picture. Even after death, there are ways your situation in the grave can improve. The prophet told us that when a person dies, all their deeds are cut off except for three things. First, ongoing charity that continues to benefit people. Second, beneficial knowledge that you left behind that people can learn from. Third, a righteous child who makes dua for you. There are stories of people in their graves suddenly experiencing increased light and provisions. When they ask where this blessing is coming from, they're told it's because their righteous child is making dua for them. Your children can become your greatest investment in the afterlife, not to inherit your business, but to pray for your soul when you can no longer help yourself. The prophet also mentioned that planting a tree, building a well, contributing to a mosque, or leaving behind a Quran or Islamic knowledge can all benefit you after death. Every time someone benefits from what you left behind, you receive rewards in your grave. But here's the crucial point. You need to make these investments now, while you're still alive. Once you die, it's too late. The barrier between worlds means you can't come back to fix your mistakes or do the good deeds you neglected. Your grave will either be a garden from paradise or a pit from hell. The choice is entirely yours, and you're making that choice right now with every action you take. Every prayer you miss, every lie you tell, every forbidden act you commit, it's all being recorded for the day when you'll face the consequences alone in that dark, narrow space. The prophet used to say that talking about death frequently helps you avoid being distracted by this temporary world. When you truly understand what's waiting for you in the grave, your priorities change completely. You stop caring about impressing people and start caring about impressing Allah. You stop chasing wealth and start chasing good deeds. The dead are experiencing their reality right now, today, as you watch this video. Some are in bliss, some are in agony, but all are waiting for the day of judgment when the barrier will finally be lifted and the real judgment will begin. The prophet warned us that if you can't handle the punishment of the grave, what comes after will be infinitely worse. But if you're saved from the punishment of the grave, what comes after will be infinitely better. The choice is yours. The barrier between worlds is real. The punishment is real. The rewards are real, and your time to prepare is running out with every breath you take. Your grave is waiting for you. The question is, will it welcome you as a friend or torment you as an enemy? The answer depends on what you do right now, in this moment, while you still have the chance to change your eternal destiny. The hidden world exists. The dead are experiencing it right now. And soon, very soon, you'll discover which side of that barrier you'll be on. Make sure you're ready for what's waiting on the other side.